Hi, I'm Rebecca from Ingvid. In the next few minutes, you're going to master one of the most important verbs in the English language, and that's the verb to have. Now, not only is it one of the most important verbs because we use it so often for so many different things, it's also, unfortunately, a verb where a lot of students make mistakes, especially at a basic level. And sometimes these basic mistakes can cause problems even down the road when you reach advanced levels. So whether you're a beginner student or intermediate or advanced, please watch and just make sure you know it. And if you're reviewing it, make sure that you review it really, really well. Okay? So here we go. So with the verb to have, one of the reasons it's so important is because we use it not only as a basic verb by itself, but we also use it as a helping verb. All right? When we use it as a basic verb by itself, we can use it to show possession, what somebody has, what somebody owns. For example, you could talk about an object that you have, a thing that you have. You could say, I have a car. You could talk about somebody's features or qualities or characteristics. For example, she has nice hair. Or you could talk about relationships that people have. For example, they have children. Okay? You can also use the verb to have to talk about actions. And we use this a lot. Like I have a shower every day. I have dinner at 7 o'clock. Or he has a lot of meetings today, right? So we use it in so many different ways. And of course, as I said, we also use it in more advanced ways as a helping verb in our perfect tenses. For example, I have done my homework. Okay? So let's begin understanding exactly how this simple verb is structured. All right, so I've divided the board into 3 sections: positive, negative, and questions. So you'll learn exactly how to use it in all 3 situations. And those are the only situations, okay? So first, I have, you have, we have, and they have. With these 4 pronouns, we say have. And that's our base form of the verb, and that's what we use here. But where does it change? And where do most of the mistakes happen? They happen here. For he, she, and it, we don't say have. We have to say has. He has a car. She has a car. It has a camera. Okay, your cell phone, for example. All right, so make sure that you remember this because this part is very important. You will see that actually we don't have has in any other section of this entire structure, but we do have it here. Okay, I'll come back to it. Now, what happens when we make the sentence negative? So instead of saying I have a camera, you can say I don't have a camera. What is don't? Don't is short for do not. But when we're speaking, we just shorten it, we contract it, and it becomes don't. I don't have a camera. You don't have a camera. We don't have a camera. And they don't have a camera. So we're not going to take any pictures. Okay? All right. Don't have. Now, what happens when we're saying he, she, or it? Now, 2 things happen. First of all, we have to use a different word here. We don't say do not. We say does not. When we shorten it, it becomes he doesn't. And then you come back to the base form of the verb. So you say he doesn't have. Not he doesn't has, which is a mistake that many students make, but you're coming back to the base form of the verb. Look at all the places where we see the base form of the verb, okay? Here, 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 here. So where do we not have the base form of the verb? Only with he, she, and it in the positive sentence, okay? So let's come back. He doesn't have a car. She doesn't have a car. And it doesn't have a camera. Okay? That's the negative. Now, if you want to ask a question, then again, we're going to use the words do and does. So here, do I have? Do you have? Do we have? Do they have? All right? And with he, she, and it, you have to use the word does. Does he have a camera? Does she have a cell phone? Does it have an air conditioner? Okay, the room. All right. So what you also have to remember is when you ask a question with a question word, like who or what do we have to do? Then you put that here. What do we have? Who do we have coming for dinner? When do we have to be there? So whatever the question word is, you can put that at the start of this question, but you still keep this same structure. So whatever you've learned here is true even if you have a question word before. All right? When do we have? Where do we have? Who do we have? How much do we have? All right? So you're still going to use the same structure. And the same thing here, except we're using does. Does he have time? Does she have time? Right? So, and does it have? All right? So this is your basic structure. It's a good idea if you can sort of, write this down. Don't just look at it. Try to write it down yourself. Get an idea of what's going where. So then your brain has something to kind of connect to. It has a structure to put all this information into. And then, of course, you have to do a lot of practice. Practical practice. Okay, so let's do that. For example, now, your brother something a cool car. First, we'll make it positive, then we'll make it negative, and then we'll make it into a question. Because the way that you will know that you really understand this verb and can use it properly is if you can make a positive sentence, a negative sentence, and then make it into a question. So let's do that here. Your brother has a cool car. Make it negative. Your brother. Now your brother is what? It's he, right? So your brother doesn't have a cool car. Or does your brother have a cool car? Okay. Now we're just making this for the sake of the examples, all right? Next, Mary. Then what do we say? Have or has. Now what's Mary? Mary is like she. So Mary, we can put that here, okay? Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to put it here for now because later when we change it, then it won't make sense, all right? But you keep it in your mind and you say it aloud with me, all right? So Mary has a new job, correct? Make it negative. Mary doesn't have a new job. Make it a question. Does Mary have a new job? Good. Okay, next. The cat. Now, what's the cat? Which of these pronouns describes the cat? It would be it. So, the cat has a black tail. Make it negative. The cat doesn't have a black tail. Make it a question. Does the cat have a black tail? Okay, are you getting it? There's a kind of rhythm to it. And if you start to say all three, you'll get into the rhythm of it. Because learning to use a language is not just, of course, about learning the grammar. Finally, it's about remembering it. It's about your mouth remembering what to say. It's about your brain knowing what to say and your ears hearing that, yes, that's right, or no, that doesn't sound right, okay? So there's a lot of things going on when you're using a new language. Let's continue. Number 4, the children. Now, what's the children? Which pronoun is that? They, okay? The children have their own rooms. Good. Make it negative. The children don't have their own rooms. Make it a question. Do the children have their own rooms? Good. Very nice. Number 5. Mom and I. Now, what's mom and I? That's like we. Good. Mom and I have dinner at 7. Mom and I don't have dinner at 7. Make it a question. Do Mom and I have dinner at 7? I don't remember. Sometimes. Okay, number 6. My laptop. What's my laptop? Which one is that? That's like it, right? So my laptop has a big screen. Okay, make it negative. My laptop doesn't have a big screen. Very good. We're coming back to the base form of the verb and make it a question. Does your laptop, shall we say, does your laptop have a big screen? Okay, very nice. Okay, so you did these examples and that's great. Of course, you need to do lots of examples so that it comes easily and correctly to you without too much stress. Okay, we want it to be enjoyable. When you enjoy the language, then it's more fun and you keep learning and you keep practicing and you feel good. All right, so to practice some more, go to our website at www.ingvid.com. That's one thing you can do. There you can do a quiz on this. And besides that, come up with some of your own examples. This verb have is so common, it's really easy to come up with sentences of your own. So wherever you are right now, look around and just say some sentences. So you could say, for example, I have a desk. I have a carpet. I have some paintings on the wall. Okay? And then take those sentences and make them negative. Take those sentences and make them questions. Use different pronouns. Say, I have a desk. He has a desk. Okay? That's a really good exercise to do too. I have a desk. He has a desk. I have a carpet. She has a carpet. Okay? Because that's the basic change that you need to make here. And the same way if it's a negative sentence or if it's a question. All right? You've done a really good job. I know there's a lot going on, okay, when you're using these sentences. You're connecting the words with the pronouns and the verb and the negative and the positive, but take it one step at a time. Take it systematically. If you get confused doing everything, don't do everything. Just do one thing. Just do the positive. First, just stay here. Get those all right, okay? You don't have to try to do everything and get confused. Just do a little bit really well. When you feel good and confident about that, do the next part and go forward one step at a time. In order to do that, you could also subscribe to my YouTube channel where I have lots of videos which I believe could help you along your way. Okay? Thanks very much for watching and all the best with your English. Bye for now.